Welcome to Growing to Get Her Together. My name is Kayla and I am excited to be here, okay? I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're listening in on episode 1, all right? This has been a long time coming, believe it or not. It has. It's not just something that I just decided one day, let me just do, all right? I'm going to get into how this has came about, how you are now listening in, and it has manifested itself over onto iTunes or iTunes podcast, all right, and also on YouTube, okay? Because if you're a visual person and you're like, I want to see, I want to connect, here you have YouTube. If you're the type where you're like, I want to just listen in, maybe you don't want that, then you have the option of doing it through the podcast option on iTunes, all right, or Apple, excuse me. And so let me introduce myself before we get started, because this is a new space for me, like I said. So there are new faces that are here. So my name is Kayla. I am a mom of 2, all right, and those 2 are I love them. They're my blessings. I'm so happy to be their mom, all right. I was born and raised in Virginia, 757, y'all, Newport News. Lived in some different cities. Virginia Beach was the last city I lived in the Hampton Roads area before I relocated to where I am now, which is in the Charlotte area of North Carolina. All right, y'all. So I'm excited. I'm sure one time or a few times as this goes on, you'll hear more parts to my story. But that's the gist of it. I'm a professional. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a servant of God, number 1. All right. And yeah, I am in the flow, honey. That's me. I'm a lot. I'm fun. It is a lot of, I love to share knowledge and encouragement. And that's what you're going to get out of this, which leads us to growing to get her. So what's that? Like, what is the growing to get her? What is that? It is something that came out when I was actually writing the word together. I was in the middle of doing a YouTube video and I was journaling. I was before God. And at that time, he actually opened my eyesight to where when I looked at the word together, I seen it broken down to get her. And God just expanded on it from there, right? And so that's how we get to T-O, get, G-T, her. And it is a play on the word together, but it's the community in which we're building, that's being built right now. And it's for women. It is for women who are seeking God to be in divine alignment. You want to be walking in what it is he has called you to do, and you want the community of women to do it with, right? And we're all at different places, but we have certain resources, we have certain knowledge, or how about prayer and encouragement, and we do it together as a community to get to who God has destined us to be. So we're doing this together, and I know it's going to be a moment of just talking about that whole evolution of it, which is going to be a whole separate episode. But I just want to tell y'all, I'm stepping out on faith with this, because I told God I did not feel like it was that I should be leading this. But when you think about the word growing to get her, there's no perfection in that. You're growing to get to the next place. You're growing to get to the place that God has called you to be, and that is a process. That is a journey. And so what this translates to is, hey, I'm going on a journey to reach to the heights that God has called me to be. Are you coming with, for you to journey your journey to get to who God has called you to be? So it's not that I'm leading, because I was thinking like some of the revelation he has given me, I'm like, whoa, I haven't felt like I've, so to speak, mastered it. But it's the fact that he's leading us and he's giving me the instructions and I give it back. And we are to apply it and to help us grow. And today's episode is definitely such a beautiful part. And I'm going to touch on that. But that is what the community is about. So if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're not on YouTube, go over to YouTube and subscribe, because why wouldn't you want to be connected to both? And then follow it, okay? Follow the podcast, all right? And you get it in while you walking, while you working, while you cooking. Grab a friend, and we are going to do this together. I have such great vision for this, y'all. I have such a big vision. I see retreats. I see us meeting up in different cities and it being big, like really big. Okay, so God is going to do something big with this, and I know he is, because it was given from him, and we coming together. We are a powerhouse, all right? So look out for Growing to Get Her More. The plan is to hear this weekly, so we grow weekly, and we're applying the principles weekly, daily, okay? So today's episode, let's talk about today's episode. Today's episode is inspired by the first book of Samuel, okay? That is the root of where we're coming from. I'm sure, I'm not going to say like every time won't be like, not that I don't think, who knows, right? But the way that this one is playing out, I didn't even know it was going to go this route. I had something totally different I thought at the time that God gave me that I was going to lead with. But no, we're going to lead out of 1 Samuel. God had called me to read 1 Samuel at the start of the week. And so that's the book I've been in. Now, story time. So I was vlogging this week for my YouTube. And I want to vlog. And I was like, okay, so I know I'm going to be starting Growing to Get Her, but I also want to vlog. And I said, well, I'll do a 2-in-1. I'll vlog the process, and I'll vlog my week, and then I'll upload then I'll do my recording. But my intentions were, I'm going to do my vlog and upload my vlog. So I'm reading Samuel and I'm letting it play and pause. Let me plug this in for y'all. If you find that you're not able to like sit and read the Bible, but you are wanting to hear God's word, there is a YouTube channel, I believe it's called Holy Bible, and they have like somebody reading different books of the Bible, and I just pulled that up. And so as I was working this week, I was able to still hear, because I was very interested in the first book in 1 Samuel, which I hadn't ever read myself. I've heard sermons on it. I've received words where it was like, whoa, you know, revelation and things, that knowledge as it pertained to a lot of stories, but I didn't ever read it for myself. So this was something new, and I definitely got fed, all right? And I'm going to share this with y'all. So while I was vlogging, yes, I said, okay, so I'm going to upload it. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I'll upload it Monday, because I took off Monday. I started vlogging. I was like, well, I'll upload it on Tuesday, right? And I'm looking down, y'all, because I got my notes, because I don't want to forget anything. When I was vlogging and I was like, let me upload it, was also the same day when I was in the book of Samuel. And at that time, I was at chapter 15, and it's titled, The Lord Rejects Saul as King. All right, so now I'm going to just catch y'all up. Saul was given instructions by God through Samuel for him to go and to finish the Amalekites. The Amalekites that came at the Israelites, and when they were coming out of Egypt, and God wanted them wiped away. He wanted the women, the children, their cattle, everything, their king, everything was to be wiped away, all right? He was given specific instructions. Now, I am picking up from chapter 15, y'all. I really would say, like, read the chapters before, but for the sake of this video and rooting us in this video, I am picking up from right here. So if this isn't a familiar story to you, just this part alone is going to make sense the way I'm breaking it down, that you'll still be able to catch the revelation of what's going on, all right? And so God has specifically told him to kill the women, children, infants, sheep, donkeys, camels, all of them, right? So Saul, he goes and he does it. but he tweaks it a bit. Because he kills the Amalekites, but he doesn't kill the king. He kills the Amalekites. Can I even say that? He finishes them. He finishes them. Let me say that, because I don't know how that works with being on online. Okay, so he finishes them, but he didn't finish the wealthy. Like, he didn't off the health, the best sheep and the best cattle, right? He kept those. And so that's when God went to Samuel like, hey, Saul didn't do what I asked. And God was grieved by that, right? Saul did not do what God had asked. And so when Samuel, right, because he's receiving the word from God, when he goes to Saul and confronts him about it, Saul's happy. He's like, look, he even built, I believe it said he built a monument to himself. Like, he even set up shop. He was happy. He was happy that he did it, and he was like, oh, I did it. He let Samuel know. When Samuel seen him, he was like, oh, I carried out the instructions. He said, you know, I did what God asked me to do. That was the energy he was giving. I carried out the instructions. And Samuel was like, so why do I hear sheep? Why do I hear cattle? Why do I hear any of that if you did what God told you to do? And he's the one who told him. So he was very clear on what Samuel was clear on what God told him and what he was supposed to do. So there was no confusion. It was all hearts and minds were clear. And that's when Samuel let him know, like, you did not do what God had told you to do. And Saul's like, it's a few things, and we're going to break this down, y'all. Saul's like, one, he doesn't even take accountability, right? Like, because it says that, I'm going to tell y'all exactly what it says. He said the soldiers brought them from the Amalekites. They spared the best of the good sheep and cattle. But if you go back a few verses, it says in chapter 15, verse 9, but Saul and the army spared Agag and the best of the sheep and cattle. You're king. What do you mean your army, they wanted to bring this back? You didn't even insert yourself in that. You completely off that to your army that reports to you, and you're telling me that you're trumping what they wanted to do over what God told you to do. And on top of that, a few verses up, it said that Saul and the army. So you were a part of that, sir, but you chose to do what you wanted to do. You chose to tweak that process, right? So that's one thing that stood out to me. So then as you read on, Samuel is letting Saul know, you know, you did not do what God had told you to do. He said, but I did obey the Lord. Saul said, I went on a mission. The Lord assigned me. I completely destroyed the Amalekites and brought back Agag, their king. That's not what he was told to do. Soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, in order to sacrifice them to Lord your God at Gilgal. Now, during that time, for those who don't know, it was practiced that animals were part of being sacrificed, but it was done in certain ways. So certain protocols that had to be followed for the burnt offerings, okay? And so this one is out of line, of course, because one, you're talking about offering something up that God said to be wiped away. How offensive, right? Like, not only did you disobey him, now you're saying, oh, I was going to give it to you. I told you to wipe it out. Told you to get rid of it. And so Samuel replies, and this is y'all listening, keen in. All right, go, come on, key right in. Samuel replies and says, does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as obeying the voice of God? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. All right, y'all. That is where we are going to sit right here for this conversation for the rest of this Growing to Get Her Together podcast. Obedience is better than sacrifice. On this journey of getting to her, to who God called you to be, destined you to be, to do that requires you to follow the ordered steps. All right? We have to make sure that when God is telling us to do something, that we're being obedient to the instructions. Now, this revelation of making this the first episode came from this reading, and I'm going to tell y'all why, because I got checked. When I mentioned the vlog, it was for a reason, because God had told me to work on and to produce Growing to Get Her, the podcast. That is where my attention should be, number one. Where I went wrong, where I was going to go wrong was doing the vlog first. There's nothing wrong with me doing the vlog accordingly, right? But that's the thing, it has to be done accordingly. I was going to do the vlog and then I was going to put out the podcast. That's not the instructions. The instructions were for me to release this episode, to work on the podcast. And as I was recording, I actually put that on pause, and I had to ask God for forgiveness, because I seen parallels of what Saul did and how I was going to carry out the instructions he gave me for this podcast, which to me, my vlog still honored him, right? I'm showing me reading the Bible, just showing me in who I serve. And not that I'm doing God any favors, but it's just bringing glory to who I serve, outwardly expression. And not that it's needed. I just wanted to show the rawness and realness of the truth of what is my everyday life, right? And so, and not that I read every day. I'm not trying to make it seem like that, which I am striving. I'm doing better. Like, real live in this season of my life, I'm doing better with making it a priority to hear God's word daily. Not a sermon, like I sermoned me up last season. No, word me up this season, right? Because I need to know God's character. I need to be intimate with him. I need to know his words. And then when I do hear sermons, and that's when I'm able to have a deeper revelation of what they're talking about, because that's getting it. That's not even firsthand from what you could get from the Bible, reading, having it intimate where you're in this close space with God in proximity. You rather get it from second, third person when you get it first, right here with the account of between you, God, and the Holy Scripture. So I had noticed that, like I was saying with the vlog, that I was out of order. I was going to be out of order if I would have uploaded my vlog before I've uploaded this. And a lot of us do that. We tweak the process. God tells us to do something and we adjust it. See, Saul, he did wipe out who God told him to wipe out, right? He wiped them out. But he did not wipe out the king. But he did not wipe out the best sheep and cattle. He didn't wipe them out. He created his own clause, his own exceptions to the rules. That it calls for, the title of this is Lord Rejects Saul as King. So God, in what happens is he gets rejected. God, you're rejected as king. Before that, he already got told he was not going to be king. God established what could have been for his bloodline. They would have been in position to be king, but he actually forfeited that when he didn't listen in a few chapters before, and then it went to David. That's when it was, because he was showing himself to be weak. You show yourself that you don't have self-discipline, because he gave up an offering a few chapters back, I believe around chapter 10. Okay, so now we're on chapter 15. The Lord rejects Saul, right? And so as he, as a result of this, now, so before you gave up, king, but now God, you're not even in position to where God is with you. But what happens with this is that he gets rejected by God. And he does not have God's approval for him to be king. So as a result of him not being obedient, he gets rejected. All right. And from there, you just start seeing even more the downfall of Saul. But again, I want to park on obedience is better than sacrifice. So for us, obedience is better than sacrifice. So as we're journeying and we're growing to get to who God has called us to be, right? We need to remember order matters. When you are making a recipe, you don't go to the end of the recipe and work it in reverse and expect it to be the plate that you've seen. So let me make this plain. We don't fry chicken from it being raw, fry it, and then you go and you wash it off and then you season it. That's not the recipe. Nobody even wants to eat that. That's not even that. That's not even that. Come on, what is that? The steps for most of us: we're going to get our meat, we're going to wash it, sanitize, wipe it down. We're going to do our marinades, depending on, we're going to get our seasoning, our flour, we got our grease, we're going to get that cast iron, we're going to fire it up, we're going to let it get hot. We found them steps to get that crispy chicken, right? But if it's out of order, you're not going to get that crispy chicken. It's not. So that's just like on a really simplified version of it. But the point is, steps matter. When God gives us an order, a command, the order matters. And that's what I want us to be mindful of. That is such a beautiful place to root ourselves in this beginning of growing to get her. That as we are growing into where God is calling us to be, who he's calling us to be, what we are to be doing at this point in time is to remember to not tweak the process. That even doing just a little adjustment to what he told us to do is not following his commands, okay? And I don't want to be in a place where God rejects me because I'm not carrying out what he told me to do. Where he's like, no, I'm not with that. No, I want him to be with me the entire way. And for you, as in you growing to get her, it's important to remember to follow God's commands. And no, we're not perfect. No, we're not going to always get things right. But what is your heart intentions? What is the true intentions? And leading with that at the forefront of just being obedient, because that's it too. You see, when Samuel is given a command by God, he jumps to it and he carries it out. I tell Samuel to go bring a word to Saul. Next, you see him doing it. God told Samuel, go anoint David as king. Samuel gave what he felt to God. Like, hey, because if Saul finds out, I don't. And God gave him the peace he needed to go forward with carrying it out. Go and do an offering and let them know. And in that, I'll reveal who is king. Right? But he got right to it. Even with his reservations, he gave God his reservations. And then God gave him the peace. And then he got right on to it. Let's not tweak the process. Say it with me. I am not going to tweak the process. I'm not tweaking the process. It annoys us when people tweak our process. If I tell my kids to do something, I want it done the way I said I want it done. I don't need you tweaking it how you think. I told you what I wanted. And I thought to myself, how frustrating for God, right? Like if we frustrated at times when we want something done a certain way, please don't go to no restaurant and the food just is everything you said you did not want. The chef said, I'm going to just tweak that a little bit. I still gave you food. It still can nourish you. But that's not what I asked. That's not what, those were not the instructions I gave for what I wanted. This is good to me, y'all. This is good. This is really good. So, as we get ready to close out this episode, we have something where each time we're going to look at where can we grow from this? Like from today's information, where can we grow from obedience is better than sacrifice? Because God does not want us to have to sacrifice when he gave us room to be obedient. Okay, what are you sacrificing? If I told you what to do, obedience trumps that. We can grow from this by realizing, right, in our day-to-day that there are instructions that God has given us. That instead of us feeling like I'll correct it by fasting, I'll put it off, I'll do it later, or I'll get to it when I get to it. If we move up obedience, that puts us in alignment with what not only God said, but what he wants to do by helping bring heaven to earth. The plans that he's ordered, we're being a vessel helping get it here without tweaking that process, because he didn't need us to tweak the process. Like he said, where were you? He does not need us to tweak his process. He doesn't need that. What I need is for you to listen. I don't need you to play God. He has that. All right. So let's grow. Where can we grow from this? Stop tweaking the process. Realize what places God has told you. Get it together. Do X, Y, and Z. So let's grow is putting it into basic application. I'm not just going to give y'all all this and you don't have instructions to help go with it. You can grow in this by identifying where you are in your life today and identify what processes you have tweaked. God gave you a command and you said, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to tweak this and I'm going to add this. I'm going to take this away. He was very clear in what he told you. Go back to that. And if you forgot or if you feel confused, the Holy Spirit is listening. So pray. Definitely ask for forgiveness for when you know you tweaked the process, and even for unknowingly tweaking the process, right? Because we want God's plans to come and do what he needs them to do to position what he wants to be positioned. So once you identify it, that's when you start adjusting to get to work. That's when you start adjusting to be obedient. I adjusted. I stopped my vlog right away, and it's not a pat on my back. I'm just telling y'all, I stopped my desire. I stopped what seemed like it wasn't a big deal. It to me, it didn't seem like a big deal. But paralleling that choice, just choice, not situations, obedience is better than sacrifice. I'm sacrificing my time holding the doing the vlog. I'm sacrificing and you know, making certain adjustments to get certain content to help build what it is God has me doing on my YouTube, right? And it's like, yeah, but what were you told to do? What's that obedient factor? Do your recording. Do what I'm doing right now. And then the vlog, you know, that's in order. But this had to be planted. So that's how we growing, y'all. We are growing by being obedient and not giving a sacrifice when God has told us to be obedient to something, okay? This is episode 1, y'all. This is my birthday month. And going into this, look how God works his grace. Look at this. When I was doing the vlog and I was walking that morning, I got to a certain part of the street, the route I normally take, and I was about to turn around, but I was like, I'll go a little bit further. As I was crossing the street, I had said to myself, what would happen if you did something new, like for 30 days, like every day you did something new? I was like, you have to be a different person. And God just took that and just went with that, okay, y'all? Out of that is birthed in the 9th month, the Something New 30-Day Challenge. And I want you to get in on that. If you are resonated and you're like, I am a part of the Growing to Get Her community, I want you to have a part of it. Check the description box. I'm going to add other videos. The last video I did that has the full instructions, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to give a quick overview. But again, you go to my YouTube and you can check it out. It's called It's Time for Something New. But so each day for the month of September, you take and you do something new. A lot of us expect different results, but we're doing the same thing. Your day has nothing new about it. You're doing the same thing. But how different would you be if you approached each day and did something new? When I did that, y'all, and I'm not going to redo the whole video because like I said, I've already uploaded it. But when I just implemented it that same day, it was like joy. It was like my brain was working in a new way. It was refreshing. It's so much that happens because we have so much internal talk, right? And when you start showing up for you, when you start doing the hard thing, when you start coming against the doubt by saying, hey, I don't really think I can do this, but I'm going to try it. You're deframing your limiting capabilities and you're making yourself say, hey, I'm open to it. So what happens when you're open to it? You're open to new experiences. You're open to new people, places, things. Things are bound to shift for you, right? And even not even in a tangible aspect, mentally, you're going to see yourself in a new light, which will help you show up better, which will help you align with whatever God has. So like I said, I want y'all to check out the Something New Challenge. In short, each day you're showing up and you're doing something new. Nothing is too small, but it should be challenging you, okay? I even said I'm going to be baking bread. Is bread small? Come on. It ain't easy. It don't look easy to me. Talking about activating and rising. And I cook, y'all. I was like, rise. I got to wait for it to rise. It was intimidating for me to do that. But I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because that was rooted in fear and doubt. Fear would fail, not be right, and doubt that I could do it the way it needed to be done. But guess what? When I do it, the win is I did it. I did it. So there are type 1 and type 2 people on this journey. Maybe type 1, you're saying, hey, I'm going to each day for 30 days do something new. You're going to identify, maybe you're going on a walk one day, maybe the second day you're going to a social event, and these are things you never do by yourself, right? Or something new, something you don't normally do. Maybe you're type 2 where you're like, God told me, gave me a command to write a book. I haven't dedicated any time to that the way it needed to be done. I'm going to do something new. Each day, I'm going to dedicate an hour. And why is that something new each day? Because each day you're writing in a new space. You're dedicating a new space. It's a chain reaction from the day before that's helping you get to that end goal. Or maybe you're combining type 1 and type 2 and you're challenging yourself. And I'm like, I'm going to work on that goal and be obedient to what God has told me to do. And I'm going to do something fun, something new each day, nothing too small. I talked about it again in the video, y'all. I keep referencing the video because I ain't trying to remake it, but I am trying to give it to you, all right? I talked about in the video how I was trying to get some footage for the B-roll, for the camera, for the vlog, and I had to abruptly stop, but I felt awkward, so I didn't want to because there was a couple on my back walking close, and I'm like, I don't want to be all weird, and then I did stop. Because I was like, why not? I was right after I was done vlogging, talking about this something new challenge. I said, let me do something new. And I did it. I stopped. I felt awkward and weird. They looked, I looked, and we did a little weird high. And that was that. And I got my B-roll. And I laughed because I said, why should I not get my B-roll? And B-roll for everyone is like, you know, when you, like, it's like, seeing me, I guess, would be considered A. I don't even know if that's the thing, but I know that is B-roll, all right? B-roll is like that secondary footage where maybe I'm getting the trees, I'm getting my feet walking. It's not the primary part of the video. It's that like soft part landing right in the mist. So that's That's the that is the something new challenge. Challenge yourself to do something new every day. Nothing is too small. That was not too small, me stopping to say, hey, I want to get these flowers. You know why? Because I showed myself why not. Why should I not get my B-roll? Because they are close to my back and I want to get this. Why not? Why not? I didn't hurt nobody doing stopping. We actually had a awkward good morning that morning of exchange, right? Welcome to episode 1, y'all. Growing to get her. And speaking of, I did not plan on starting this with the cap, but a part of growth will be in my hair. I just got it cut. And you see, like, the curls are popping, but I need the length to length. But I'm certain that growth is in this scalp and it has the capacity to come forward. All right? I love y'all. This was fun. Next week we will have another Growing to Get Her episode come out weekly. I also will I do have a plan to start a digital journal for those participating in the Growing to Get Her journey 30-day challenge. So if you're going to be participating in the 30-day challenge, check this description box here on YouTube, and I want to make sure that you have something that can help you journal along the way. That is the plan. If you don't see it there, that means I'm still trying. All right, I'm going to try, but I hope if it's there, give me some love, y'all. Give me some love. I love y'all. Bye-bye.